So, I'm sitting in a hotel room waiting for my truck to get out of the shop. And I recently came across some stuff going on. So, if you're in the DID community, you've probably heard about Anthony Padilla's video with dissociaDID and I can't remember their system name. It was two other systems, but she's the only one that I remember because I literally just watched one of her videos. So, but two other lovely systems who are also happen to be in a Facebook group that I'm in, and in response to that video, another YouTuber who seems to be generally fairly controversial in the first place has made a response to it, claiming that they have DID. I personally have, no clue whether they do or not, and no right to say they do or don't. As another person who does have DID, but at the same time, I am also a person who has experienced other people around me finding out about my disorder and taking advantage of that to essentially do the same thing and misinform other people more than less unintentionally, and to gain some kind of, I don't know, weird sense of popularity or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what purpose it serves, but people do weird shit for stupid things, and I can't really, I don't always understand it, so I can't read their minds, but I do want to say that I was really invested in the video that Anthony had made. I honestly, I actually suggested it once, very recently, when he made his asexual video. I had literally commented, "Hey, you should talk about this group of people because we don't get talked about, and there's a bunch of stigma about us, and it'd be really cool because you have a platform and you're very understanding." And to have this kind of blow up because of that, I don't know. It's really disheartening for systems all around, myself included. I feel like all the work that we've done, that we've tried to do, no, I'm not the best at posting at a regular schedule, but I try. We all try. But oh, by the way, it's Ren, in case you're wondering. But this whole thing is it's we're shuffling forward, and we've been shuffling forward for several years, and it was really hard when Split came out and kind of just pushed us back a good mile and a half, and this is that happening all over again. And one of the things that just breaks my heart is that whether or not Trisha Paytas is telling the truth about herself, she is not telling the truth about how DID works and how it's formed and how it really truly affects other people. And that's why it's hard, and that's why a lot of people or a lot of systems are having a really hard time dealing with this, because we're essentially watching all of the progress we've made for, you know, as little as it is, going down the drain. Like, we honestly try really hard, and I know what that feels like having somebody essentially say, oh, I'm exactly like you, except you're watching what they're doing and they're not anything like you, and you can clearly see that it's, you know, they have no idea. They have no idea what you're going through and what you're experiencing, and they're just spreading misinformation and making other people believe that you're unsafe and unstable and shouldn't be, you know, cared about or considered human in some ways, you know. And I'm not gonna lie when I say, you know, people consider a lot of mentally ill people inhuman. It's just something that we deal with, and it's a big problem, and this is something that kind of contributes to it. But at the same time, so I recently, I mentioned that I was watching dissociaDID's video. I was actually watching her response. And honestly, I don't really watch her videos very often. I usually don't really hang out in the DID community as often as I used to, because I personally don't like to linger on my trauma and, you know, the difficulties that I have. Like, I'm aware of them, and I do my best to, like, maintain that awareness and work to better myself and try and heal. But I don't really, like, go and sit in the groups and talk to everybody all the time, because personally, I've got a lot of things that I have to do. I don't have, you know, ample time to just chat on groups. And, you know, as you can see, I haven't really posted very often. And so, like, this is essentially me saying, hey, I am included in the group that doesn't like this, and I'm going to say something about it because it needs to be said, and one more voice never hurts. You have to make people understand that the lies and the misinformation that they generally think of when they think of DID, or really any highly stigmatized disorder, is just that it's misinformation, and it inaccurately describes what people who have those disorders are really going through. And that's the real issue here. It's not really an issue of whether or not Trisha is lying or, you know, pretending or doing it for clout or whatever the hell. It's the fact that what she is saying about herself and what she's saying about, you know, DID, and she doesn't even call it by its actual name, but, you know, what she's saying it's not fact. It's not, you know, the actual disorder. It's a very common misconception that people, like, conceive as the disorder but it's not. It's much more difficult to deal with. Like, it's much harder to deal with. There are times where you think that there's nothing good that's ever going to come out of your life, that you're essentially a monster, or you are made to feel like you are, made to believe that you are. And you have to teach yourself to not believe that, and then at the same time you have to fight against these tidal waves of people who are telling you that you are that thing, that you're crazy, that you're unstable, and that, you know, what you're experiencing can't possibly exist, it can't possibly be true. It's a battle. It's a lifelong battle. And there's so many people with DID and OSDD with these highly stigmatized disorders who have just given up on telling people and trying to trust people, because other people are making them believe that they are that thing, that monster. And you're not. You're not a monster. You're a person. You exist. And you're valid. You are worthy of love, and you're worthy of trust. And it's hard to learn to trust people, especially, when you have a disorder based around trauma, where you learn that trust is a fickle bitch, essentially. So basically, I'm going to end this saying to all the, 121 followers that I have, or subscribers, or whatever they are on YouTube, who, probably scream at me to make videos even though I don't, or probably bots or something like that. And the one person who comments on my stuff telling me to, go see Jesus. Yeah, you. I remember you. Keep up the good fight. I know it's really hard. You don't have to actively attack anybody. I don't want anyone to actively attack anybody. I don't think anybody should ever want to actively attack anyone for, not being educated on a certain topic. Because that's what this is. Trisha, she probably means well with whatever it is she's trying to do, but the truth is she's just not educated on the topic, and therefore she doesn't deserve to be attacked for being uneducated, but she does, along with everybody else who is uneducated in the subject and who perpetuates that stigma against people with DID and OSDD and other highly stigmatized trauma-based disorders, that we're, not so. All they need to do is educate themselves and, try to educate themselves. And that's all we can really do, is try and educate other people. And hate never helps anything. So that's it. My arm is falling asleep and I am really tired. So I'm going to go to bed. You guys have a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed my first video in 3 or 4 or 5, half a year, something like that. Several months. So, bye.